And as we are your home of independent, fearless, incredible journalism. Well, this afternoon, 47 illegal miners have been arrested so far in the ongoing raid on illegal mining sites and forest reserves along the Tano River close to Samrebo in the western region. The suspects are made up of 39 Ghanaians, men to be precise, 8 Chinese and 4 Ghanaian women. Now, JoyNews Erastus Asaredonko is on that beat, and he gave this account earlier in an interview with Swicha Bochi on Newsdesk.
The Lands Ministry is also behind this onslaught in the Samrebo and the surrounding areas along the Tano River. So it is, I would describe it as a surgical incision within the criminal, elements operating within the forest around the Tano River. You remember, this is something that we advocates have been trying to draw attention of government to. And in fact, the mining along the Tano River, and if you look at how they are washing toxins directly into the river at Boya, Atala, Datano, and surrounding villages close to Samrebo. And so it comes as a great relief to some of us that the police are not only doing a day's job, they are spending days. This is about the 4th day they've been in that area in the forest. They are located there. They are doing operations within the forest, getting rid of the elements, and we are happy about it.
Erastus, when you say it comes as a great relief, are you saying that the way they're handling it meets us at the point of our needs in terms of what the broader action to stop Galamsey really requires?
Well, this is part of it, and I have always said that enforcement is key. We have laws, and we need to enforce them. And this is not no other task force than the police themselves, who, if you know the components of this task force, we have the National CID, we have the FPU. So you have all the agencies that can prosecute involved in enforcing environmental laws at this moment. That is key. That is number one. All the other things that we propose that should come along with this can come along and enforce what they are doing currently, i.e., the alternative livelihood improvement programs. The other things that the government thinks will support this is very key. But if you look at enforcement, if we don't do enforcement now, our rivers are being targeted. They are being polluted. If you look at the pollution of the tunnel and other areas, it is something that we need to act decisively as they are doing at the moment. If you look at the number of illegal miners who are now pulling their equipment out, it tells you that it's sending the right signal out to the people. So far, on day one, if I should update the list for you, for the 26th, they arrested some more. And so day one, they arrested 29 illegal miners, 8 Chinese, 21 Ghanaians. Day two, they arrested 10 illegal miners, all Ghanaians, 4 women, 6 men. Now, day 3, they have arrested 1 person, and day 4, they have arrested 7. And so bringing the total to 47 people arrested so far, 39 of them Ghanaians, 4 Ghanaian women, and 8 Chinese. I understand that the first day, the ones who were arrested on the first day have now been transported to Accra to face prosecution.
Away from the western region, a group calling itself the Aggrieved and Concerned Youth of the NDC in Kpandai constituency have expressed their frustration over unexplained delays and alleged irregularities in the process of the nomination of the DC for the area. The youth are questioning the party's leadership actions and transparency. Convener of the group, Solomon Nambu, alleged that they have information there were schemes to sidestep the 3 aspirants who qualified for that position at the regional vetting for one of the failed aspirants at the vetting. There's more in this report by Martina Bugri.
17 candidates were vetted at the regional level with the following 3: Young Sapaku Robert, David Mensah Jampa, and Weja Gideon, being shortlisted to proceed to the national level. Currently, the Kpandai district nomination of a DC is on hold. But addressing a press conference in Kpandai, the youth said they have information some 3 persons are attempting to smuggle into the list of the 3 nominees a certain applicant who was not shortlisted at the regional level. The convener of the group, Solomon Nabu, said they are demanding an explanation on why there is a delay in the nomination of a DCE.
The national vetting process has been unjustifiably halted without any official communication or explanation to the party members and stakeholders in Kpandai. This unexplained delay has halted development within Kpandai district and fueled widespread suspicions and anger among members and their stakeholders who fear that the party's internal democracy is being undermined by a few self-serving individuals. On keeping the good people of Kpandai awaiting in abeyance, the concerned youth of the great NDC deemed it prudent to meet with the constituency chairman to know the reasons for the unexplained delay in the appointment of the DC for the Kpandai district. On that account, a meeting was convened at the party's office on Tuesday, 15th April 2025. To the utmost dismay of the youth, the chairman, in an absurd and a condescending manner, told the peeved youth he would not have honored the invitation if he had known the agenda for the meeting earlier.
He said they are also demanding the DCE be picked from the 3 shortlisted from the regional level.
A surprising revelation was laid bare by chairman, which took everyone present there aback when he was asked about the state of the 3 individuals who were shortlisted. Shockingly, chairman claimed he was never aware of any shortlisted individuals and further asserted that constituency chairmen are never consulted in the vetting processes. How can you be a panelist and can't tell who were qualified or otherwise from the regional vetting? Was it the same 17 individuals who filed that procedure to the national level for the final vetting, or some 3? We want to bring to the attention of those individuals that whatever orchestrations they are engineering, we are fully aware, and we will stand up to them and resist vehemently. Sure. We are not cowards. The intel we have suggests that these persons are attempting to smuggle into the list of the 3 nominees a certain applicant who was not shortlisted at the regional level during the vetting process.
They are all NDC.
They are doing this simply because that person is the weakest. He easily yields to pressure.
Yes, exactly.
He's unprincipled and can easily be manipulated by them.
Yes.
Embodied with these traits, they feel he is the best person they can use as a conduit for their selfish and parochial gains.
Yes.
We won't sit aloof to allow such a character push down our throats.
Let's head now to the Ashanti region, where the General Overseer of Christ Resurrection Church, Apostle Joseph Mensah, has urged Parliament to swiftly pass the anti-gay bill for presidential assent. The controversial anti-LGBTQI+ bill was sent back to Parliament as a private member's bill after failing to get the executive of the previous administration to assent to it. While Apostle Mensah wants the Christian community to sustain pressure to get the bill passed and subsequently assent of the President, Naya Ojima has more in the following report.
At the dissolution of the previous parliament, all bills that were in the legislative process and others awaiting presidential assent were dropped. For this reason, the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill was affected. Former President Nana Akufo-Addo refused to sign it into law, citing legal challenges. The bill, which prescribes a 3-year jail term for people who identify as gay and 5 to 10 years for promoters and advocates, is widely condemned by the international community. But Apostle Mensah wants it passed.
Bible speaks about against these things. So those who do not believe, even the country, in our cultural system, these things are alien to us. So the law should be enacted so that it will help. For us Christians, who are real Christians, we know and understand that it is something we do not have to go near it. But if the law is sanctioned, I think it will help to even bring all those who are not Bible believers to come into the fold for us to stand against this. In fact, it will destroy our generations.
The General Overseer was speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the Christ Resurrection Church's 40th anniversary. The launch coincided with the Easter celebration by the Christian community.
Even the name Christ Resurrection Church depicts that we cherish Easter, the time that Jesus rose for us. The church also rose. God gave us that life. And he had a covenant with us as the church started. For 39 years, Jesus has been faithful to his church, has protected the church, and helped us even to extend the gospel to so many areas.
For Joy News, Nanea Ojima, Kumasi.
The Upper East Region Airport project has received a significant boost with the recent visit of Yvonne Opare, the CEO of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, who inspected the proposed site at Sumbrungu. The visit follows an earlier promise by President John Dramani Mahama to the people of the region during his thank you tour that they will finally get an airport under his government. Correspondent Albert Sori reports.
The Upper East Region is situated over 800 kilometers from Accra. Therefore, journeys by bus typically take a minimum of 12 hours to reach the capital and 8 hours to get to Kumasi. Currently, the nearest airport is in Tamale, which is about 3 hours by road, highlighting the urgent need for an airport in the region to make it easier for people to travel by air, especially in emergencies. The demand by the people of the Upper East Region for an airport has intensified, particularly in light of recent safety concerns along the Bolgatanga-Waliwali-Tamale Highway, where attacks and killings have surged. In response to these security issues and the long-standing need for direct access to air travel, a social group known as Alangube initiated preparatory works on the abandoned site at Sumbrungu and rallied support from residents and stakeholders to draw attention to the project.
What we have done on our own selves, together with our social group Alangube, is to create this runway of 120 meters by 3,500, which is more than an international airport runway. But the land is far. We can even make 4 or 5 runways in this airport area. So it is not small. The airport is not a proposed anymore from today. We have all agreed from Sumbrungu and a team here, and we are here to hand over the land.
During his thank you tour in March, President John Mahama pledged to address the long-standing Upper East Region Airport project.
I've also asked the Managing Director of the Ghana Airports Company to commence the sourcing of funding for the construction of the Upper East Regional Airport. We intend to do this under a PPP model in conjunction with the gold mining companies in this region, since this will allow them also to airlift their gold bullion safely to Accra directly from the Upper East Region.
The President has now taken a step further by delegating the CEO of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, Yvonne Opare, to visit the site for the airport project in Sumbrungu. After her inspection, the CEO of the Ghana Airports Company reaffirmed the government's commitment to making the airport a reality.
And I'm here with my technical team to assess the land that you are giving us to establish the direction of His Excellency, the President John Dramani Mahama, to establish an airport at the Upper East Region. I want to take the opportunity to thank the Alangube group who have spent their own resources to grade the land and create the path for a runway up to about 2,000 meters. This shows a lot of seriousness for this project, and the president also attaches a lot of seriousness to it, and we know that as the months go along, you will see some visible signs of us having started this project.
Upper East Regional Minister Donatus Akamukri Atanga also emphasized the airport's potential to transform the local economy.
This area, in fact, it's going to be the airport that will supersede all the airports in this country. Because what we have here, we have 9 out of 15 municipal and district assemblies that have gold deposits. And so, which means that the mining companies will need a faster means of conveying their staff as well as conveying their products. Apart from that, this area, we have 15 municipal or district assemblies, and you have about 8 district assemblies that are border assemblies. And border districts means that, international business will boom.
With the visit from the CEO of the Ghana Airports Company and the renewed commitment from the government, the people of the Upper East region are hopeful that the long-awaited airport will soon become a reality. For Joy News, Albert Sori, Bolgatanga.
Pope Francis has died at age 88. The Pope, who was the first Latin American leader of the Roman Catholic Church, died at 7:35 local time on Easter Monday, according to the Vatican. Well, his death comes a day after he appeared in the St. Peter's Square to wish happy Easter to thousands of worshippers. He was recently discharged from the hospital last month after 5 weeks of treatment for an infection. Or Francis's death sets in motion the centuries-old process of electing a new pope. Reverend Father Andrew Campbell of the Christ the King Church was with Pope Francis last year and has been sharing some fondest memories of him, as well as how the election process of a new pope will pan out. He spoke to Sweetie Abochi on NewsX.
I always look to him as my mentor, my example. And when I was 50 years working here in Wager with the lepers, I asked my superiors, can I go to Rome to visit Pope Francis, the one I've always looked to as an example? And they said yes. So I had the privilege of a private audience with Pope Francis on the 17th of May last year, 2024. And I can never forget this encounter, this audience we had together in his library, in his private library.
What is the significance of that encounter for you? I know it's rare for the Pope to grant you an audience like that, like you're saying, but what's the significance of it?
I went, when we met, he said, no, all smile, let's take a photograph. He was so human and understanding, and he was just so friendly. And he said to me, he said, what work do you do? And I told him I work with prisoners, I work with street children, I work with lepers, I work with prisoners. He said, Father, he says, you're a brave man. You're a brave man. Have courage. Don't give up. Continue that work that you're doing for the poor and the needy. Continue that work of Christ. And that's always inspired me, those words that he gave to me that day on the 17th of May, 2024. I can never forget, because he was a man for the poor. He was a man who loved the poor. Even on Saturday, he went to the prison in Rome and spent half an hour with the prisoners there in Rome. And every year he visited the prisoners in Rome. He used to wash their feet. Everywhere he went, every visit he went, he made sure he always visited the poor in that country. So to me, he was an inspiration, that his love for the poor, his love for people. He was one of the people. He always told us priests, he said, you should smell of the sheep. You should be one of the people. Smell of the sheep. Get out of your sacred. All the corners of the earth, all those new cardinals and they'll all come together. And they will come to the Vatican, and they'll have to have the funeral of Pope Francis first. And after the funeral, then the preparations for a conclave. And then the conclave will be at the Sistine Chapel. All those who will be eligible for the electing of a pope, and then they will elect a pope, and then a new pope will be announced. Now that will take maybe a few weeks. I don't know exactly. It depends. It depends on when we will bury Pope Francis. It depends on when they'll finish the funeral and get ready for the conclave. So it could take a few weeks. I don't know.
Okay. And
Well, that was Reverend Father Campbell, but how well do you know the Pope and what does he stand for you as a person? Well, here's a profile detailing more.
He was at the Vatican's St. Peter's Square yesterday for Easter Mass, and these were perhaps his last words to the excited worshippers who were surprised by his appearance.
Maestro di cerimonia, di leggere il messaggio.
According to the Vatican, the Pope, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio, died at 7:35 a.m. today at age 88. The eldest of 5 children worked as a nightclub bouncer and floor sweeper before graduating as a chemist. He also enjoyed tango dancing and became a supporter of his local football club, San Lorenzo. Elected on the 13th of March 2013, the ascension of Pope Francis to the papacy heralded many firsts. The 266th Pope was the first Latin American leader of the Roman Catholic Church. His election surprised many church watchers who had seen the cleric, known for his concern for the poor, as an outsider. Some unforgettable memories of the Pope will include how he championed the rights of immigrants and the poor. In his sermons, he called for social inclusion and criticized governments that failed to pay attention to the poorest in society. Shortly after becoming Pope in the year 2013, he took part in an anti-abortion march in Rome, calling for the right of the unborn from the moment of conception. He also asked the Church to welcome people regardless of their sexual orientation, but insisted gay adoption was a form of discrimination against children. The Pope resisted the ordination of women, declaring Pope John Paul II had once and for all ruled out that possibility. The Pope shunned the papal limousine and insisted on sharing the bus that took other cardinals home. He described this as his way of favoring humility. Also, to eschew what he calls the trappings of the senior cleric, the Pope usually flew economy and preferred to wear the black gown of a priest rather than the red and purple of his position. Pope Francis chose to receive his cardinals informally and standing rather than seated on the papal throne. As Pope, he made great efforts to heal the 1,000-year rift with the Eastern Orthodox Church. He therefore worked with Anglicans, Lutherans, and Methodists. In the year 2014, he persuaded the Israeli and Palestinian presidents to join him to pray for peace. And as a Spanish-speaking Latin American, Pope Francis provided a crucial service as mediator when the U.S. government edged towards historic agreements with Cuba. Pope Francis has suffered a number of health issues throughout his life, including having part of one of his lungs removed at age 21, and in recent months has struggled with his health, having spent 5 weeks in hospital with pneumonia in both lungs. His death comes one day after a brief appearance before thousands of Catholic pilgrims gathered at St. Peter's Square for the Vatican's open-air Easter Sunday Mass.
Well, let's explore this further. Thankfully, I have with me editor Elton Brobe join us live to just give us a breakdown of the list of possible successors for the Pope. Elton, what names do we have?
So, firstly, after the death of Pope Francis at age 88, the world is now waiting to see who will succeed him as the cardinals gather in Rome for the papal conclave. Now, as you may be aware, he was the first Latin American Pope, so that signaled a wider change within the Catholic Church. And we will now see the first Black or Asian Pope. And every cardinal is eligible to be elevated to the position of Pope. But from what we are picking from the Vatican, 8 individuals have been shortlisted for this prestigious position. And first on the list is Peter Appiah Turkson, 76 years old. And Peter Texan, as you may be aware, was a former bishop of Cape Coast, would be the first black pope, and would have the appeal of reaching out to Africa. He was born in Ghana. He was sent by Pope Francis as a peace envoy to South Sudan. He occupies the middle ground on the tricky subject of gay relationship, arguing that laws in many African countries are too harsh, but that the views of Africans on the subject must be respected. Now, Texan was the Bukit favorite at one point during the 2013 conclave when Francis was chosen. There's also Luis Antonio Tagle. He's 67 years old, and this individual is a former Archbishop of Manila, has emerged as a front runner in the betting market. He would have the appeal of being the first Asian Pope, the region with the fastest growing Catholic population. There's also Pietro Perronin. He is 70 years old, and he is the closest to the continuity candidate, having worked with Pope Francis as Cardinal Secretary of State. He is seen as a moderate, though not as close to the liberal wing as Francis has sometimes appeared to be. When Ireland voted in 2005 to legalize same-sex marriage, Perronin described it as a threat to humanity. There's also Peter Endo. He's 72 years old, and he's the Archbishop of Budapest, would be the second pope after John Paul II to have administered in the former Soviet bloc when church leaders were often persecuted. There's also Jose Tolentino. He is 59 years old, and not to be confused with American footballer. He hailed from Cristiano Ronaldo's birthplace of Madeira in Portugal. He has served as the Archbishop as well as held down a number of Vatican roles. There's also Matteo Zuppi. He's 69 years old, has been Archbishop of Bologna in South America since 2015, and was appointed a cardinal by Pope Francis in 2019. 2 years ago, the Pope made him the Vatican peace envoy for Ukraine, in which capacity he visited Moscow to encourage gesture of humanity. There's also Mario Grech. He's 68 years old, has previously served as the Archbishop of Gozo, and is now the Secretary General of the Synod of Bishops. And then finally, there's Robert Sarah, 79 years old, born in French Guinea. He's also black, just like Texan. Sarah is another possibility as the first black pope, although age is not on his side. He has been working in Vatican positions since the time of John Paul II. A conservative, he has denounced gender ideology as a threat to society. He has also spoken out against Islamic fundamentalism. So these are the 8 individuals being considered to succeed Pope Francis after the funeral, and when they go into conclave, they will be deciding among these 8 individuals, including Ghana's Peter Appiah Texan.
And Elton, the possibility of a black pope really taking this is one we're looking forward to as blacks. But then let's see, how long will the process take before the official vetting commences?
Well, according to, as we heard from Father Campbell, first will be the funeral. As of now, we don't even know when the funeral will take place. I'm sure the Vatican will issue a statement to announce when the funeral will take place. When the funeral is done and dusted, then they will go into conclave to decide who will emerge as the elected pope. And per Catholic tradition, if they go into conclave, they will burn papers. If the color is black, it will signal that they are not come to a conclusion. If they burn the paper and the color is white, it will signal that they have elected a pope to succeed Pope Francis. And that's what all of us will be looking forward to.
Thank you, Elton Brobo. You're still watching JoyNews Today. We'll be back with business. Please stay tuned in.
Hello again and welcome to the business segment on JoyNews Today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Government has recorded an undersubscription of its Treasury bills auction as demand for the short-term instrument remains low. More in this report.
To auction results by the Bank of Ghana, the Treasury recorded a marginal undersubscription of 2.45% of the T-bill sale compared with a marginal oversubscription the prior week. It got 6.44 billion cedis from the T-bills auction, but rejected 1.814 billion cedis of the bids tendered. The target was estimated at 6.607 billion cedis. About 5.058 billion cedis were tendered for the 91-day bill, representing 78.49% of the total bids. The bids accepted were lower at 3.67 billion cedis. For the 182-day bill, 905 million cedis were tendered. The bids accepted were estimated at 630.45 million cedis. A little over 481 million cedis were also tendered for the 364-day bill. About 324.56 million cedis were accepted. Meanwhile, interest rates remain relatively stable on the yield curve. The yield on the 91-day bill remained the same at 15.45%. That of the 182-day also eased to 16.18% from 16.21% the previous month. The interest on the 364-day bill also dropped by 3 basis points to 18.62%.
The technical advisor at the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company, boss Nana Amosi VII, has reaffirmed that the zonalization policy will not be scrapped despite calls from some industry players to end it. Under the current zonalization policy, oil marketing companies are restricted from transporting fuel across zones. For instance, a company cannot lift fuel from a depot in Tema to supply stations in Takoradi. Instead, fuel meant for Takoradi must be lifted from a depot within the same zone and distributed accordingly. Speaking to Joy Business, Nana Amosi VII emphasized the need to review and redefine the zones under the policy to enhance its effectiveness and efficiency.
Already, the Ministry of Green Transition and Energy have set up some committee to look at reforms in the downstream sector. And so all the policy directives existing will be relooked at, including the zonalization policy. The policy will stay because it is important that we ensure that for every respective zone in the country, they have fair fuel supply and fair price as well. If we allow the northern belt to come all the way to Tema to haul products up north, the cost of transportation may be added onto the price at the pump, and also the risk involved in the movement of vehicles on our road and all that. So zonalization will stay, but probably we have to redefine the zones.
Now, French ambassador to Ghana has commended the government for making agriculture its hub of social and economic transformation. Speaking in Wa as part of his 2-day visit to the Upper West region, the French ambassador noted that the 47 million euro agriculture water management, coupled with a 19.5 million euro boost ecological transition towards an enhanced revenue known as Better project, is probably the biggest game changer of relationship between Ghana and France. More from Rafiq Salam.
The visit of the French ambassador to Ghana, Jules Aman Anyumbasu, to the Upper West region provided a significant opportunity for the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to present 2 key agriculture initiatives, both co-financed by the AFDE and the European Union. The projects are the 47 million euro Agriculture Water Management Project, AWMP, and the soon-to-be launched 19.5 million euro Better project. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture, led by the Sector Minister, Eric Opoku, hosted a high-level ceremony in Wa to welcome the ambassador and his delegation. This event served as a key platform for showcasing the ambition of these projects, fostering meaningful discussions about the challenges facing the agriculture sector in the north and strengthening collaboration between stakeholders from the 5 northern regions. Minister for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, noted that the country's agriculture sector is bedeviled with enormous challenges which hinder its production. He penciled the challenges starting with production inefficiencies, lack of infrastructure, limited access to essential inputs, and weak integration with the agriculture value chain. Eric Opoku therefore welcomed the 47 million euro Agricultural Water Management Project, AWMP, and the 19.5 million euro Better project, which he said is in line with the country's agricultural vision.
The AWMP and the Better Ghana project are bound by shared principles such as sustainability, inclusiveness, and partnership. Under sustainability, we want to look at smart agriculture, climate resilience, and value chain integration. Under inclusiveness, we'll do that by empowering smallholder farmers, particularly women and the youth. Partnership, this is between government, development partners, and the private sector and our communities. We want the communities to take ownership of these projects. As the Minister for Food and Agriculture, I wish to assure our partners, the European Union and the AFD, of government's unwavering commitment to ensuring the effective coordination, integration, and sustainability of the AWMP and better projects. Collectively, we are building a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable agricultural future for Ghana.
French ambassador to Ghana, Jules Aman Anyembasu, commended the government for making agriculture the hub of the country's social and economic transformation.
And I like the way, Eric, when you talk about agriculture, you feel it. You are sincere, you feel it, you know too much sometimes about it, but you are always very clear, very focused. So you decided to, under the leadership of His Excellency President John Mahama, to make agriculture the heart of your social economic transformation. These two programs you have been working on are probably the best game changer of our relationship. Not just to meet, to interact, but to be able to take action.
Our Power Sudan Minister, Lawyer Charles Wong-Opozun, on his part, stated that the government remains resolute in promoting green economy that patronize climate-smart agriculture, sustainable land management, and enhance access to financing for smallholder farmers.
Our administration recognizes that inclusive growth can only be realized when all actors, ranging from smallholder farmers to agribusiness entrepreneurs, are adequately supported with access to modern technology, financial resources, and lucrative markets.
Also present at the program was the country director of the French Development Agency, Clementine Dadi. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
That's it for business for now. I am Pius Kojobaka. We have more stories for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Sports is next.
Outskirts of Nairobi, the Kenyan Wildlife Service said the child was snatched from a residential compound on the ranch next to Nairobi National Park. According to the conservation agency, the alarm was raised by another team